Good morning, moms. How are you? My favorite mamas coming to you here live from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm actually in town visiting my daughter Lily with my hubby. He's down in the lobby right now while I do this. You can see the unmade beds behind me. And I want to come on here today and just talk to you about what to do when you feel like crap as a mom. And I use that word, and I thought some people might have a reaction to that word, but it can feel that strongly when we are feeling badly, whether it's feeling like you're failing because your kid is being disrespectful or they're acting up, or you get into a fight with them and you end up saying something that you wish you didn't say and you feel badly about that, or they're not doing what they're meant to be doing, supposed to be doing, and you're nagging and you're lecturing and you have no idea what to do, or you're feeling powerless. Or like me last night, I'm with Lily and she's irritated with me. And at least she seems like she's irritated with me. I got home last night, I was feeling down and I was feeling discouraged. And I'm so excited to be here to see her. She's a senior now. This is my last parents' weekend ever, unless, until grandkids go away. It's my last one. And so with that comes a lot of emotions. And I want to go through I have actually 4 things that you can do when you're feeling like crap as a mom and you're beating yourself up and you're feeling sad or you're feeling angry or you're feeling powerless and you don't know what to do to get yourself out of the pit. So, I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I'm doing this morning to get me out of the pit so I can have a great day. And this this happens, I had written a blog post. I'm going to share some of that as well, called 25 mantras when you feel like you suck as a mom. And again, you might not like that word, but I thought the reason I used it is it's powerful. And it's like you feel like that. I was thinking, what words can I use to describe how strongly I feel when I'm in this state of being? And I'm going to walk you through what I've done this morning to get myself out of it so that you can use some of these tools as well when you're feeling like you're in the pit of despair. Now, number 1, we always have to start with having compassion for ourselves. And last night when I got back, I was like, gosh, I must have been irritating. I must have been too much. I could sense that Lily was irritated with me. And this happens with 2 of my kids more than actually my oldest. And I can feel like too much, or maybe I talk too much, or maybe I ask too many questions. And she said this or this to me, and my feelings got hurt. And Cheryl, how stupid that you feel this way. And so what happens is I'm beating myself up. And maybe you relate to that where you get into an argument and you beat yourself up and I shouldn't have said that and I'm too angry and I'm too reactive. And then we have this little pity party for ourselves and we get stuck in that pit. And what I did do last night is I didn't say anything because I felt like a little kid. And some of you that work with me know what I'm talking about because I talked to you about that. Some of the things that were said brought me back where I felt little, where I was too much, or I said something irritating, or my daughter said something about another mom and how beautiful she is and all this stuff. And I went, and maybe I know some of you have a daughter that says, oh, that woman is the cool mom. Now, Lily was not saying that to me last night, although I've heard that from my other kids before, especially one of them would say, well, that mom is so cool. kind of insinuating I wasn't as cool because of my rules. Now, the cool mom at this time, this was with my oldest, she was talking about a cool mom, was allowing a lot of things to go on in her house that were not okay. And it was kind of her way of saying, this mom is so much more relaxed than you are. And now when she looks back, she can acknowledge that that mom didn't have rules, didn't have boundaries, was allowing things to go on that were not good. So she looks at it very differently. And so we have to always remember that even though our kids are feeling the way that they're feeling, or they're expressing what they're expressing, it's not always personal. So that's another part of this. So I had to practice this morning. I got up. I didn't say anything last night because it just seemed like I was coming at it from a place of neediness and that it would not have gone well, where I was feeling insecure. So, what does it look like to have compassion for ourselves? Well, I can acknowledge that, and this goes to number two. I'll skip. So, we have to have compassion for ourselves because those critical voices come in and want to beat us down. So, that's number one. Be compassionate towards yourself. Number two, have embrace curiosity. Be curious about why you might be feeling the way that you're feeling. So we kind of have to slow this down rather than get in reactivity mode, rather than last night I could have said some things that probably wouldn't have gone well, would have put a damper on the evening. I recognize this was more about me. There's other times that we need to share that we feel hurt, but we need to use our intuition when this is effective, when this is not. Am I coming from more of a victimy place where I'm having this kind of pity party for myself? Because when we're coming from that kind of poor me, you hurt my feelings place where we're kind of like Eeyore, that is usually for me a sign that I'm not going to get what I'm needing in that moment. Why? Because anytime we kind of come in as a victim where we're kind of having a pity party and we say something, people are going to have a reaction to that. And I know if my husband's coming in like poor me, I notice that sometimes I want to persecute him. It goes back to that drama triangle that I talk a lot about, where somebody comes in and they're doing a lot of complaining, a lot of moaning, no intention to shift out of that you kind of want to clobber them. And I don't like feeling that way, but you just notice in your spirit when that kind of like, oh, I don't like that that person is acting that way. So I like to think of it like self respect. Like, if I say something, am I going to be self respecting in this moment? So be curious. And curiosity takes us out of what I like to say that contracted state. When we're in that contracted state, we're more in a state of scarcity. There's not enough. I'm not enough. Maybe I'm too much. There's not enough love here. I'm not accepted. I don't belong. My kid doesn't like me, whatever that may be. And then we get anxious and we're looking outside of ourselves for whatever that approval is that we're looking for from our kids or whoever it may be. So we're in this contracted state and puts us into a tailspin. So be curious. And so that goes into when we're curious, we're in more of an abundant state. It gets us out of that judgment. When we're in that contracted state, we're judging ourselves and we're being very harsh on ourselves. So this, when I brace, I shift. Okay, Cheryl, you're being hard on yourself right now. I shift into more of that expansive, curious state. So I can say to myself, and this is, I'm just showing you right along with me what happens with, what this looks like. I say, okay, you were down last night. What could be going on? Well, I had something happen this past week that pretty much took me kind of it put me in a very vulnerable kind of state of mind. And I still feel like I'm hurting a little bit from that. And it makes sense I'm hurting a little bit from that. And it put me back into it triggered some of my old wounds from my childhood, really did. It was with a family member that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And I felt very sad afterwards. And I was back in that kind of young place where I just felt like I was recovering from that and I was hurting a little bit from that. And so I come in to seeing Lily and I'm super excited to see her. And I'm also feeling like this time is precious with her and I want it to go perfectly. And so I'm putting a little pressure on myself. And I'm also feeling the sense of some loss that this is going to be her last year, that she probably wants to stay in Texas. She's my baby. So I'm feeling underneath the surface, there's a lot of feelings that are percolating and that are going on. And so sometimes, so what I end up doing sometimes, it keeps me in that contracted place, is I think that's stupid, Cheryl. Like, even as I'm saying this, I'm like, come on, just make the most of the weekend. There's this internal voice that's like, you shouldn't feel that way. You know, what's wrong with you? Like, just have fun, be playful, don't take things so seriously, right? And so I get into that, but that's not helpful. We kind of need to say to ourselves, you know what? I'm feeling a lot right now, and that's okay. And that makes sense. And so that's what's so powerful about having safe other people in our lives that can actually say those things to us and can be that safe place for us to express, which brings me to number 3. We have to get grounded when we're in this place because and as moms, we all know that we can get in that contracted state and it's almost like a sort of a panic, and we're spinning and we're in that energy that feels very, I want to say negative, but it's upsetting. It's like this upsetting state. And what happens to me is then I feel like more needy. And I'm looking outside of myself for that validation, or I'm looking for it from Lily, which isn't a good place to be. Because why? Because that makes me dependent upon her mood or how she's responding or reacting to me, or maybe my husband. So I'm looking to get that outside of myself. So what we have to do is we have to kind of bring it back to ourselves. And now this doesn't mean that we don't ask for a hug, or we want to ask ourselves, what might I need? And one of the things that really helps me is to journal. And I know several of you that are listening are journalers, where I can process through what I'm feeling and I can write it down, and then I can replace whatever that is. Okay, I'm feeling this way. The story I'm telling myself is I don't really matter, or I'm irritating. And then how am I going to shift? So I'm going to get to that. Some mantras that we can adopt when we're in this state. But also, expressing feels really good to me, to a safe person. That is where meeting with me can be very helpful. If you find that this is happening a lot, that there's this pattern that's happening. And I think for most of us, there is. And so we can have somebody that we can express and talk to. So sometimes I will call my support people in my life, and those are several other moms that get me, that see me, that know me, that can just validate how I'm feeling. And then I feel freer, I feel lighter, and I can move into that more of that playful place. It Sometimes it's our spouses if you're married. Sometimes it's not, because they get bogged down and they want to fix it. For me this morning, I was able to say to my husband, how did you feel like last night went? Because I'm feeling a little discouraged and down about it. Now, it wasn't terrible, right? This is where I'm going. I'm wanting everything to be perfect and to go well. And I said, how? And he said, well, I thought it was okay. And I said, I feel like, like Lily was irritated, that I'm irritating. And then my husband said, well, you know what? I think we need to listen more and and offer less because she's thinking about getting a job. And I guess I kind of jumped in and I was over talking, which we can all do. I can do it. And so he said, I really think we need to just listen to her more. And I got a little defensive and I was like, well, she was asking me questions. And he said, I know, but I still think that we need to listen more. And I think she's feeling a lot, having to get a job after college. So she's feeling a lot of anxiety. And as moms, sometimes we want to be helpful, but then we can fuel that anxiety, which I think I was doing. She also had a test she had to take last night when she got home. So she was feeling a lot of anxiety. But sharing how I was feeling with my husband this morning made me feel so much better. And he just normalized it. And I said, I feel so like this is something that really kind of put me into the pit was when she was talking about that other, you know, beautiful mom. And I said, and I just was feeling down around that. And I said, and I didn't want to tell you because I feel like, oh my gosh, that is so petty. I'm like the girl that's back in middle school comparing myself, but it's not. And so once I shared that with my husband, he said, well, it's kind of how I felt. And then he was able to share something when he had felt that way with our son. And he said, yeah, and I get that. And so just him saying that made me feel so much better. So talk about it with a safe person. Another way that we can help ourselves when we're and get grounded is expressing whatever we were feeling. We can even express where we allow ourselves to have a good cry and then to love on ourselves, go, okay, what do I need right now? Maybe I need to take a walk. And then another really good strategy is gratitude. Like, thank you, God, that I'm here. Thank you that we could come. Thank you that we're here with Lily and we're going to go exercise with her this afternoon. And we're gonna go have dinner tonight together, and she's gonna stay in our hotel room, and it's gonna, thank you. So that's another way to practice gratitude. Thank you for who I am, right? And that what I bring, um, and golly gee, I love myself. you know, like just to whatever that is, which brings me to number 4, to adopt a mantra. So here are some mantras, okay? And I wrote this when I was actually on vacation and I had 2 of my kids were fighting. And I was really struggling. And one morning I got up and I wrote this blog post. And why did I do this? Because I knew I'm not alone in this. I know lots of moms feel this way, but I had to shift out of my victimhood and coach myself and write new beliefs down because I was really in that contracted place. So I just want to share some of my mantras with you of how I shifted, and then I will share the blog post in the comments, and then I will also share a link to the mom affirmations that you can print out and that you can read if you find some of these helpful. Okay. So, number 1, I will not blame myself for every little thing that my kid says or does that I don't like. It's not it's not my fault. It's not all my fault. Okay? So, in this situation, I can say I'm not going to blame myself for last night that maybe I didn't say exactly the right thing or I didn't listen the whole time. I don't need to blame myself. I'm human. That can be another one. I'm human. Number 2, I am more than enough, and I will not sacrifice my day being anything less. I will make this day a good one. So that's so good for me. I am more than enough. I'm enough today. And I'm not going to beat myself up and tell myself I'm too much or I'm not enough. I'm going to make this day a good one. And that gets us out. How can I choose to have a great day today and to show up? I will not, number three, I will not allow the challenges that come my way to get me down. And now this was when I get into the scarcity mode, whatever that may be. When I was writing this blog post, it was enough time, resources. I put, I'm going to kick some butt. So for today, I'm not going to allow the challenges that come my way to get me down. If something doesn't go perfectly, or I say something wrong and I irritate my husband or my daughter, that's okay. I'm not going to let it get me down. I don't have to say everything perfectly. Again, I'm human. Number four, I'm letting go of who I think I need to be, and I'm embracing the brave and courageous. I say badass here. I am. So I'm not letting go of who I think I'm letting go of who I think I need to be. So again, that would be for today, like being perfect, having to have no conflict, like not, it doesn't have to go perfectly, and that's okay. And I'm a blessing to my family is number five. And I'm going to know that. I'm a blessing to my family. Number six, I may be an imperfect mother, but I am the mother my kids need. And so just thinking, I'm not perfect, and that's okay. But I am gifted with these kids, and I am the mom that they need. And I will remember my kids are my best teachers, even though I may not understand whatever it is that they're meant to be teaching me. And so even today, after last night, I can say, oh, what's that teaching me about myself? And today I will be the kind of person that I would like my kids to become. I will commit to doing just that. And I would add, this was several years ago, but today I'm going to be the kind of person that I want to be. And that is to be a mom who is strong and self respecting and kind and loving and a good listener and shows up and is supportive and helpful and playful and embraces my playful self, and doesn't take things so seriously and just has fun and is in the moment. And number 10, I'm committed today to slowing down. I will choose to savor the blessings, the moments, and create beautiful, imperfect memories. And so there's another one. And that is exactly what I'm going to do today. And so those are just a few. And here's one more. I will preserve my sanity by setting myself free from the expectations that I put on myself that are unrealistic, or that bog me down, or just cause me to feel weighted down. I'm just going to set myself free from all those expectations and be kind to myself. And that was number 14. I will be kind to myself above all else. And know that I'm not just a mother, I'm a woman, and I matter, and I love myself, and I can love others. And I don't need to be super mom. I can cut myself some slack. So I hope that these speak to you today when you get in that place where you feel bogged down, where you feel critical of yourself, or that you're failing as a mom, knowing that you're human, that you're enough, that you're not alone, and that other moms can feel the same exact way that you do. We need to have a lot of grace and a lot of compassion towards ourselves. So I'm going to have a great day today. I'm going to have so much fun with Lily, but I am going to do what also brings me joy today and show up out of that space. So I hope this was helpful to you. And thanks for listening and joining me today. And I love you gals, and I'm so glad that you're here. Have a great day.